Vusic Live, WBLM, DJ Gummy the Genius Network. And we have been having a heated conversation. Yes, we have. It's just been a good conversation, talking about dating and being real. We got our guest with us, Transparent Tori. Yes, and she's been awesome, and she's been very real with the conversation that we've been having. Just to kind of piggyback off of where we left off, she was talking about shame on you if you're looking for your husband to be in church, right? Like you gotta find him in church because he doesn't have to be found in church. Exactly. Now my question was, does he have to wind up there? For me, yes. Maybe for Kim, no. I don't know. Okay.
For Kim, yes.
For Kim, yes. Okay.
Yes.
So everybody have their own thing, but my thing is that you have to wind up in church at the end of it all. But in the meantime, it's like you said, you know, their churches is not, everybody's not going to church, and God might give you vision outside of church, and that's fine. But for me, and what God is doing with me, we got to wind up in church. So I don't know. What do you?
I also agree with you, and everybody can have their own opinion, which I love. And I do think that it doesn't matter, you know, he doesn't have to go to church. I'm not saying he has to go every Sunday and be there and be here, but I would like him to be okay with that, okay to go to church, and be fine with that, and you know.
Well,
Go ahead.
Above all, going to church, I would want him to be a hearer, of the word, and to follow God's lead. You can go to church every Sunday and don't follow God's lead. So it's not about the building. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the building or the church. They have to have inside
the relationship.
Because just because you go to church don't mean you're listening to God.
Amen.
Ever when the woman is seeking for her, asking God for her husband, he comes into their life. Whoever it is, that woman should want to know that she can give her life to him, and he gonna follow God.
Amen.
Because through everything, you want him to make the right decision, and the right decision is God's decision.
Amen. That's true.
If you ain't got that, and you got a church, you ain't got nothing.
But I believe if you're also a believer of Christ, you'll be also okay to go to the church as well.
Absolutely.
I don't believe that you can have a relationship and just never go to church whatsoever.
No.
You know, I do believe there's a place where you do need to come to worship, and you have to have I believe, a covering over you.
Amen.
Yes.
And we can go so many places with that. But this brings us to the next questions, which is deal breakers, right? And this whole dating thing and this whole single thing, what are some deal breakers? I think I might have heard me mention that one of my deal breakers when we're dating is when you're on a date and you're talking to a guy and you know you're talking to him and you're trying to get some information out of him, but everything that comes out of his mouth is, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? No, I don't know what you're saying. So I'm gonna need you to explain that. That's a deal breaker for me. That determines, matter of fact, statistics shows that it takes men 15 minutes to decide if a woman is worth a second date. And guess how long it takes women? 1 hour. Why do you think it takes us so much longer to decide if we're gonna go out on a second date? Because that's a deal breaker for me.
Well, let me say something. I believe them because the men are at different stages of their lives. So we are women. We want to marry. We really want the wife to fit, but not the wife. We want the mansion. Men, they have their stages. So if they're not ready to get married, then they ain't looking for her. So when they're looking for their wife, they may not tell you that, but they know if it's her. They can pick her up.
Just like that.
Oh, yeah. They know.
Well, this brings us into some questions. I believe you're gonna go out into this audience, and we got a handsome gentleman over here who got some comments. Maybe you want to comment on the deal breaker, comment on dating. Let's see what he got to say about this. Indeed.
He doesn't have a ring.
Oh, he don't have a ring.
Not yet. Not after the time. All right. And they met at. So, what's your comment, Mama?
Is the mic
Just
on?
say your name. I put it on.
My name is
There it is. And what's your name? And what's your comment?
You know, it's just good to be here, first and foremost. And the energy in here is wonderful. Oh, wow, I sound crazy. There's so much going on right now. I don't even know, like, I don't have a question. I just want to just commend you all, like, the different takes on dating, churches. The one thing is most important for me is acceptance. Whoever I'm looking to be with or my future, I want balance. And that's what I liked about her comment earlier. Like she said, her husband and she, they have balance. That's definitely what I'm looking for. So I'm not always in church, but my woman could be. I'm definitely open to whatever that makes her happy. That's all about balance. I'm trying to bring happiness and balance to our relationship. So that's most important to me. So it's really wonderful hearing everything you guys say.
Okay, that was a good comment. I like that.
We have a young lady over here who also has a comment.
Come on up, my dear.
Come on over.
Come on over.
Stand right there.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I just wanted to comment on what Tori was saying. I agree with what she was saying about that you don't necessarily have to be in church to find your husband or to find the person that should be with. He doesn't necessarily, it doesn't have to be in church, because I feel like there's no men in church, no real men sometimes in church. It's so much women that want to worship God, but there's not a lot of men, and I feel like I just agreed with what she said.
It was powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome and that's powerful. I feel that too. Some of the real men, what she said, that she feel like there's more real men outside. I do feel like that when God delivers them or transforms them, the urgency to live for Christ, and they're so on fire for Him because they've been playing church. God has delivered them out of some things that they know that if they go back to that, they won't live, or their life won't, So I feel that if you meet someone that is not in the church and God is working or dealing with them and they're being transformed, I believe that there is a lot of purity, and I say purity means there's a lot of conviction in their life, in their movement, and when they come, whatever God has called them to do, there will be a lot of conviction versus someone that's been raised in the church, been in the church all their life, and they be playing. They be playing.
That, to just comment, because this whole thing about, I want to make sure I stress that church is very important. It's very important. Everybody don't make it there. That's the whole purpose of the Truth for the Church Girl.
That's right.
For me, I'm on this whole emotional, healthy spirituality tip right now, and it's about getting my emotions in check so that I can be mature spiritually, be able to just be free and allow God to do what He's gonna do instead of holding on to different things, and when something happened, breaking down over this and breaking down over that. And that didn't occur in church. The hurt that caused me to realize that I needed to be healed from my emotions happened in church, but the healing didn't take place in a church building. The healing took place home, reading some books, doing some things, talking to God, journaling, all types of stuff. And that's when I was, that's when I was able to kind of go back to the actual building, but I wasn't going back to the building. It was more so just me going back to a place that I know is important as part of my worship experience. So I just want to stress the fact that it doesn't necessarily have to be a church building. I think you need to wind up there. Because that covering piece is very important, but that's a whole nother show, because covering is important, whether you want to believe it or not. Covering, accountability, and you find that in spiritual leaders that are, in a church building or maybe not. It just all depends. But deal breakers, very quickly. What's a deal breaker for you in a relationship?
Oh Lord, there's so many.
No, just one, real quick.
Someone who doesn't have ambition.
No ambition.
No ambition.
Okay, what about for you?
I don't know. I don't really know if I should. I don't know if y'all ready.
I'm ready.
We ready. You transparent. You ready.
I don't know if y'all ready or not. Y'all know if y'all ready, but my deal breaker. Okay, the deal breaker, and I'm being honest and I'm being real, because some women ain't gonna say it.
Okay, say it.
A deal breaker for me would be, it's a couple of things. Real quick. A man that has no ambition, no drive. 1. 2, that if you have been, I gotta laugh at myself because I'm crazy. If you have been married before, if you've been sexually active before, and I think this is probably going over to the marriage segment, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it is the deal breaker.
Okay.
And you have practiced abstinence throughout your whole courting process, and you get married and you're not fulfilled. Is that a deal breaker for you?
So what you saying, honey?
That's what that's all I'm saying.
I don't know if we was ready for that. That's a whole nother show.
She said it.
That's a whole nother show. Wait a minute.
She said it nice.
Listen.
We gotta wrap it up.
conclude